Is Hey ARKS Silhouette here. Another Wednesday has come and gone, and I'm sure you're all eagerly waiting for more and more news on new Genesis, collabs, and all kinds of other goodies that we usually go over. And as always, Wednesday means it's either time for patch notes, a new scratch, or an info dump. Well, as it happens to turn out, it's info dump time. Welcome ARKS to the weekly update for May 19th, 2021. First things first, new scratch, old scratch, actually. Today, or rather yesterday, because I got into a huge argument about what actually constitutes a dumpling in our Alliance chat, sorry about that. Today sees the release of the 2 rewind scratches announced just a couple of days ago, comprised of a ton of different outfits from the Christmases of PSO2 past, and even some full body outfits that didn't really get much of a chance to show up for both males and females. Each prize ticket for either of these scratches is granted whenever you scratch 15 times, allowing you to very quickly pick up any apparel you might have missed in previous scratches or just never got a chance to get at all. Unfortunately, however, these scratches do not have any color variants, accessories, or emotes, or any of the nice additional content, so ouch. You're looking for an Innocent Rose dress shadow? You're still paying quite a lot of money. My dream of PC players on PSO2 one day having a chance at getting the flight mode emote and other items from the Xbox only era of SG sales is slipping further and further away with every bit of news, isn't it? But wait, there's a beacon of hope. The PSU SG sales were eventually released in Fresh Finds individually, right? Maybe there's some hope there. No. No, not quite, unfortunately. There is a bit more news to go in this update, so stay with me, ARKS. We'll get through it together. This evening, an announcement went up on PSO2.com detailing a number of changes to and the removal of features from PSO2 Classic upon launch of New Genesis. Among these changes that we're seeing removed from PSO2 are login bonuses, which will instead be moved over to New Genesis once it arrives. New Genesis's login bonuses will be a little more restricted due to the removal of bonus keys and other PSO2 Classic miscellanea like scape dolls, augmentation aids, and gathering implements, but will still feature NGS relevant items such as salon passes, star gems, and color change passes, and presumably, probably a lot more. I mean, I'm sure New Genesis can also use augmentation passes of its own, but they haven't mentioned that, so we'll kind of go over that later when it comes up. But presumably will operate by the same rules we currently understand for login bonuses, with each player getting 1 new stamp per login per day. There is unfortunately plans to do away with the extra login stamp on PSO2 day, but we'll talk about that shortly. Along with that change, the first-time platform logins have been updated for all existing platforms. Most of you should already have these, but if you happen to be a new player to PSO2 in New Genesis, you'll be picking these up there. Unfortunately, a number of items that were associated with things like the Steam login campaign, which weren't actually part of the login distribution, they were like a separate thing we got on Steam and you fulfilled the requisites of the campaign, such as the frying pan camo, the HEV suit, and the Alex outfit, are not present, and there is no news about whether the PSO2 team plans to bring these back in New Genesis for new players. Still, you get a nice head crab emote though. That's pretty nice. It isn't all demerits though, as a number of increases have also been made. ARKS missions, for example, despite the loss of mission pass and stars not meaning anything now, have generally had the amounts of tri-boost 100%, enhancement success rates plus 50%, augmentation aids plus 30%, and lambda grinders increased across the board. This increase may not mean much for a whole lot of veteran players who probably have an abundance of all of these, but it could possibly help out some new players who intend to go through PSO2 Classic during its time that it coexists with New Genesis. Next up in these changes are those being made to the special presents, the boxed rewards that you get every time you complete a recommended quest. Magatsu keys are being removed from the rotation completely, and in exchange, Tokyo bonus keys, both gold and silver, as well as Rappy Fever bonus keys are having their chances increased, presumably proportionate to the amount being removed. I'm not exactly sure what the chances are, but hey, it should be even, right? Should be even. This seems to be more of an effort to consolidate SG generation as much as possible into New Genesis, or possibly narrow down the amount generated via PSO2 Classic. I really don't think the latter is the case. To me, it honestly almost kind of sounds humanitarian of the PSO2 team. They're trying to minimize the amount of time you have to spend going back and forth on the daily from New Genesis to PSO2 Classic just to generate star gems. So maybe we can look forward to some stuff being added to New Genesis in the future that will kind of offset this. I don't think that's the biggest issue issue here. If you don't agree, hey, no problem. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'd love to hear you out and maybe talk to you about it. Longtime players of the global version will find this next item rather ironic, however. After all the howling that went down with very early global period and the Star Gem controversy that occurred during that time, the treasure shop is finally being implemented and the fresh find shop is finally being discontinued. For those of you not in the loop, early on in global, there was a few discrepancies versus the JP servers, such as a number of missing exchanges for Star Gems, which led to a large amount of discontent due to the perception that global was being squeezed for cash and pushed to purchase Star Gems. This, along with the introduction of the fresh finds instead of the treasure shop, which was considered to be the more fair option, exacerbated these tensions up until a number of exchanges for Star Gems for JP were finally introduced, such as the casino exchange, taking the pressure off the situation. As such, during that tumultuous time, many players were asking for the introduction of the treasure shop from JP, which again is seen as a little bit more fair and easier to use and easier to save up for. It's also a more sort of finite SG and meseta shop, which tends to operate a lot like fresh finds, rotating items out on regular intervals. Expect to see a lot of the same items you probably would normally see, the regulars such as tri-boost, triggers, and things like that, both for meseta and SG. Whether this actually means that the treasure shop will continue to receive updates with things like accessories, cosmetics, other valuable items, maybe mission pass items. Mission pass items originally came from the treasure shop to begin with. Maybe we'll start seeing those come back through there. Who knows? Could be amazing. All that stuff is kind of up in the air. We don't know. We don't know what's actually going to be in there. There's a high possibility that we might just get a very safe schedule that might rotate out things like triggers, things like tri-boost, and just that's it. Here's hoping that they do something really cool with this and we still get some nice stuff out of it. I would love to see a regularly rotating set. Hey, Sega, maybe start with the SG cells. I would love to get my flight mode emote. It would be great. I guess what I'm saying at the end of the day is that if the rest of these changes are any indication of what Sega is trying to do, there is a very high possibility that this won't be the case. Just be careful, take a bit of salt with it, and go into the future a bit more guarded about it, but be hopeful. Next up, PSO2 Day is also getting put on the table and having its innards rearranged. In addition to what I mentioned earlier about not getting the extra login stamp for PSO2 Day, a lot of things are staying the same, but some of the bonuses are being increased, such as the experience and rare drop race bonuses being increased to 200%, and there are some new additions, such as the miniature boost week for item enhancement and augmentation success rate. Unfortunately, there are also some removals. Premium PSO2 Day is basically being nixed, unfortunately, and at least in terms of all of its bonus items, no word on whether that means the ARKS Rappies will still spawn on the 22nd, who knows. Tokyo bonus keys are no longer being distributed. SG tickets will still be distributed, but only on non-premium PSO2 Day, it looks like. But in New Genesis, once again, in the theme of minimizing time spent in PSO2 Classic for Star Gems. The next few things are relatively straightforward, and the first two are about how the servers for PSO2 Classic will persist in an environment that is no longer being curated and maintained. The first of these is the seasonal lobbies, which are being standardized and synchronized with the Japanese lobbies, and the seasonal enemies with them. One notable exclusion as a result, unfortunately, is the Independence Day seasonal lobby, which was new to global and was eventually shared with JP as a kind of separate event. Some people might take an issue with this. Maybe it wasn't seasonal, it was an event, but I think most people considered it pretty seasonal. In any case, they occupied the first half of July. This has been completely replaced with the Tanabata seasonal lobby altogether, but unfortunately does not come with any seasonal enemies. Funny enough, May, that month we're currently in, it's not going to have any seasonal lobby. Huh. PSO2 team, what's up? No love for the Elef Rappies? Along with that, all scheduled urgent quests are being discontinued. And by that, I mean the UQ schedule is being discontinued, which is probably one of the bigger blows to PSO2 Classic, unfortunately. All UQs from here on out in PSO2 Classic, once New Genesis releases, will only be spontaneous UQs, meaning they'll be happening at random times on the half hour or full hour. I think this is unfortunate. This includes the new ultra hard 4-man True Profound Darkness, which will be made into a spontaneous urgent quest as well. This is, again, probably the biggest and heaviest blow being dealt to PSO2 Classic here, as it effectively removes the last vestige of hope for a notable population number at any given time. The speculation is that without players gathering for urgent quests at specific times, there will hardly be any but the most determined and loyal to the PSO2 Classic lobby grind left to hang around. as not being able to wait around for scheduled UQs means that less people will be around, generally speaking. This means that parties and groups for content, even the spontaneous urgent quests, will likely see dwindling numbers even further than expected with New Genesis competing for the player base, as less players can be expected to be on the PSO2 servers in general. Very unfortunate. I know I've kind of talked about how I don't see having the two services as running side by side as very realistic, considering the fact that they are competing with each other for players, for devs, and for content, and one will ultimately be snuffed out in favor of the other. And even I thought that was going to be sooner rather than later. I didn't really expect it to be this quick, you know what I mean? PSO2 Classic fans, if you want to stick this out for the long haul, I guess my recommendation to you is getting a really dedicated alliance going among you and really make it your own thing. Also remember, there is every possibility that SEGA and PSO2 team will reconsider or have some really crazy surprises in store, or perhaps this is a tentative thing. So be hopeful. As much as you can muster, spread that optimism around. There's lots of people who need it. But I think it's just the responsible thing to say that, hey, maybe ground yourself a little too, and remember that unfortunately there's a lot of possibility for it to turn out like this instead. Last but not least, a few miscellanea are left to wrap up. The returning player system has been discontinued for the most part, which is relatively as expected. I'm not sure there'll be some other systems in place on NGS in these side of things, but at this point, we're coming close to the close of PSO2 Classic, and there's definitely a concentrated effort in getting players to head over to New Genesis, not PSO2 Classic, so this is par for the course. The other item is that post New Genesis, the two genders are being redefined as Type 1 and Type 2 for consistency's sake. So everyone can go ahead and get their, the two genders jokes out of their system. And that's everything, guys. Most of this is business as usual. I mean, like I said, a lot of it was definitely coming, but I do think the loss of the UQ schedule does leave a pretty serious impact on PSO2 Classic from here on out. Here's hoping SEGA comes out at the end of the tunnel with some good stuff to offset this. Ideally, we want a way to move into New Genesis without severely impact the experience of PSO2 Classic too drastically, but that's going to be difficult, and we'll see. Who knows? If you're interested in more guides, tips, and news for Phantasy Star Online 2 going forward, give me a like on this video and subscribe. It would really mean the world to me. I know I say it a lot, guys, but I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. You're awesome. You do a lot for me, and I will never forget you. Also, if you'd like to catch me live, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, and every second Saturday night at twitch.tv/sillygames, which is quickly becoming a stream about lookbook reviews. Anyways, guys, that's everything. You're all wonderful. This is Silhouette. I'm signing off. ARKS. May you have all the rare drops. And I hope you're having a good day.